because frame is going to be important because when we get into the presentation, you'll see that it's about controlling the pace along the roadmap. You're not controlling what the prospect thinks. You're not controlling what they want. You're controlling the pace. And sometimes we have to slow things down. And the reason I'm bringing it up here with the because frame is every question warrants a response, but it doesn't necessarily warrant an answer to what they're asking. And the because frame enables you to bypass some of those questions by saying, oh yeah, that makes sense, but we're going to hold that off because. And it's almost like people shut off their logic meter once they hear the word because. So it's a useful tool when we get into the framework and we have to regain control when a prospect is taking us off track with these different questions. The next thing we have is reciprocity. And reciprocity is important because it's not just actual things that you're giving, it's perception too. When you can help people perceive that what you're offering them is something of value, giving them information is something of value, that can start the reciprocity action in place as well. And again, I don't want to, like I said, spill a candy in the lobby. We'll get into more of this, but reciprocity is a big part of it because you're always giving information in a sales presentation, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to position it in such a way that it is shown as it's received as value. And we have rapport. And we're going to take this to another level because there's been a lot written about rapport. You've heard of mirroring and matching, and that works, and there's a reason why it works. But when this book was written, mirror neurons were very, very much in the infancy. They had just learned about mirror neurons, I think it was in the 80s, 1980s, and first documented in early 90s. But the mirror neurons are probably why mirroring and matching works. But in addition to rapport, we're going to have know, like, and trust. So you've got to have more than just rapport. You have to have a know, like, and trust component because that's what's going to enable somebody to buy from you. And we've all heard of situations where a person left a company or a salesperson or a product or service, even though it was a good fit, even though it was the best price, and they left it because of the relationship. We also know that there are people who bought things that were way more, that didn't really meet their needs, and they did so because of the relationship. So you don't want to ignore the know, like, and trust component, and I'll call that the subset of rapport. Then we have authority. And you may remember this study was done way back in the 50s. There was some research, and they had the guys in the white lab coats, and the white lab coat represented authority, and the subjects, it was double-blind stuff, and so the person who was the subject didn't realize that they were actually a subject. They thought that they didn't understand how they were being viewed as the subject, and their job was to give a shock to this person who's behind glass every time they got a wrong answer. And the person in the white coat would get them to give shocks that were stated to be lethal, and it even had warnings on the panel to say that, do not exceed, it could be lethal, but the person still gave them the shock. Now, it was an actor behind the glass, and so they really believed that they were potentially killing this person, but they did it, and it was shown they did it because of the white lab coat and the authority. You can't watch, and you can find it on YouTube, I'm sure. It's hard to watch that video and not have it change how you view information that's coming. And I think everybody should watch it and recognize that it's playing into these cognitive biases. Another one is scarcity. And authority and scarcity, you can get to your fear-based buyers that way. It's illegal to introduce false scarcity, at least in some states. The reality is, chances are, if something is running out, there's going to be a better option available. There's always going to be another course. There's always going to be another solution for whatever it is that a person is looking to buy. So I don't want to overstate what scarcity does, but that said, that doesn't mean you can't introduce some things like early bird specials to help you along.